keeps you motivated and mobile. So let's start off. All four corners of the feet evenly distributed on the floor. Knees slightly soft. Hips, pelvis, spine, nice neutral alignment. Chest is open. Shoulders are down and away from the ears. Chin is centred and parallel to the floor. So we're going to go through our breathing very quickly. Let's take our hands towards the side of our rib cage. We're going to take a nice deep breath in. Engage the core, which means pull the belly button towards the spine. As you breathe out, try and hold on to that core engagement by about 30%. And again, let's take a deep breath in here. Engage that core. This time, pull up the pelvic floor. And then as you breathe out here, try and hold on to that core engagement by about 30%. So we're going to drop them arms back down by the side, and we're going to start by mobilising. So let's start by mobilising the top part of the spine, keeping the core engaged. We're going to take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, turn your head towards the right. Keep the shoulders facing forwards, take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, go round towards the left. And again, all the way back round towards the right for me. And then one more time, all the way back round towards the left. This time we're going to drop the chin down here and circle. Feel the creaks and cracks in the back of the neck. And then bring it all the way back round towards this side. Keeping that core engaged, drop the chin down here for me. Mobilising the top part of that spine is really important. And then bring it all the way back round to this side. Bringing that chin back towards the centre. We're going to drop the chin down towards the chest. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, go up towards the ceiling. All the way back down again for me if you can. And then bring that chin all the way back up. Bringing that chin back towards the centre. We're going to move on to our shoulders, so we're going to roll them shoulders forwards, thinking about that core engagement, and then we're going to go back the other way. Try and set them shoulders down and away from the ears for me. Try and keep that back in a nice strong position as you start to lift up through the elbows, keeping that core engaged, and then if you can, go up into that nice big long strong arm. Breathe in at the bottom, breathe out as you lift, pulling that belly button slightly towards the spine. 2 to go here if you can, and then bring them arms back down by the side. So we're going to do that again, roll them shoulders forwards again. We hold a lot of stress and tension in this area, and then go back the other way, trying to loosen off around this area before we get going. Start to lift up through the elbows for me, thinking about that core engagement. And then again, go all the way up. Breathe in at the bottom now. Breathe out as you lift. Pull that belly button towards the spine to keep that nice strong back here for me. 2 to go if you can. And then bring them arms back by the side. So we're going to move into the middle part of the spine, bringing your right arm forwards first and then your left. Keep that arm nice and long and strong. Think about the core engagement here if you can. And then if possible, you're going to go into that bend and stretch, lengthening across here for me, moving that middle part of the back, and then if you can, you're going to take that arm up above the head, lengthen up nice and long. If that's too much, you can stay towards the front, and then with the right arm, we're going to take it over and hold. Now lengthen them fingertips to feel this stretch here through the waist. We're going to bring that hand back down by the side, lengthen all the way over. Keep that core engaged for me as you do this. Start to slide that hand down the side of the leg. Breathe in at the bottom, breathe out as you pull that belly button towards the spine. 2 to go. And then we're going to bring that arm back by the side. We're going to go into the other arm, left arm first. If you do feel a little bit uncomfortable, you can bring them feet a little bit closer together. Keeping them heels on the floor for the moment, and then going into the bend and stretch. Lengthen slightly forwards here, keeping the core engaged if you can, and then taking that left arm over the top, lengthen them fingers towards the ceiling, pull that belly button in, remember, and then with the left arm take it over and hold. Lengthen them fingers, feel this stretch here, arm comes back by the side, take it all the way back over. Lifting that heel away from the floor to increase the stretch, sliding the hand down the side of the leg. Think about the breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift. We're going to do 2 more here just to make sure we're nice and equal on both sides, and then bring that arm back down. So we're going to move into the hips and knees, so bring the feet back in line here. Feet facing forwards, hips and knees we're going to mobilise. We're going to sit back into that squat, keeping the heels on the floor for me. Keep the core engaged if you can. Lengthening them nice, long, strong arms here. And then if possible, we're going to bring in that knee raise. So right leg first comes up, trying to keep that balance if possible. Pull the belly button in as you lift there. If you need to keep it a bit lower, please do. And then with the right knee, we're going to take that up and hold. Now balance work here, if you do struggle, place it towards the floor. If not, you can lift it that little bit. We're going to extend forward, come back in. Keeping that core engagement, lengthening through the front of the thigh, extend and hold. Now this time, if you can, take it behind to open up the hip and pelvis. Take a deep breath in again, and as you breathe out, see if you can pull that knee through. If you struggle, remember you can place it towards the floor. Extend, come back in, grab that balance each time there with the toes, and then extend and hold. If possible, take it all the way around again. One more time here just to make sure we're mobile. Bring that knee through, extend, come back in. Using that thigh strength there to try and control that balance. Extend and hold, all the way around again. This time the foot goes towards the floor. You're not supposed to lose the balance like that. Place it on the floor. Soften the knees here, keeping that nice strong core for me. If you want to go back into some balance work, bend, knee comes up. Make sure when you land behind there that you soften the knee so we don't put any stress on the joints. 4 to go if you can. You don't have to do this progression, remember. One more time, and then place the feet back on the floor. So let's try the other side. So sit back into the squat, heels on the floor here. Nice long strong arms, keeping the core engaged. So we keep that nice strong back here. 2 to go. We're going to bring in the knee raise, left leg first. Pull up for me. Nice long strong arms, still mobilising through the shoulders. 2 more. Then with the left leg this time, we're going to take it up and hold. Remember, extend, come back in. If the balance isn't there, take it lower. Use that front of the thigh, extend and hold, all the way round towards the back, opening up that hip and pelvis, bringing that knee through. Again, if you are losing your balance, take it lower towards the floor. You do what you can. If you really do struggle, you can place your hand on the wall. One more time for me. Pull it through, extending through the front of that thigh there, remember. Nice long strong leg, extend and hold, all the way around again. This time the toe touches the floor, soften the knees, trying to move through them joints there, keeping that core engaged, chest lifted. We're going to do 2 more if you can, and then if you want to bring in that knee, remember, soften, pull through, making sure that knee is soft as you take that foot behind. If it gets too much, just take a rest or go back into the squat. 2 more, and then place that foot down for me. So we're going to move into the last mobilisation, which is for our feet and ankles. Try and keep that core engaged. We're going to lift up off of the heels and then roll back on through the toes. So just trying to move through them feet to loosen them off, because we get very stiff and very tight in this area. Then if you can, you're going to take it up and hold. Hands come forward to keep the core engaged. We're going to try a little routine here of bending through the knees, lowering through the heels, come back up. And again, lift up, bend, lower and lift. 2 to go. Lift, bend, lower and lift. One more time. Lift, bend, lower. And you can hear the clicks through the feet there when they are very stiff and tight. Then if possible, you're going to come up and hold for me and then go into the alternate heel lift just to get that stretch through the arch of the foot, because lots of people have problems there with their feet. One more each side and then release. So we're going to do our spinal mobilisation now to get to the floor. So coming to the end of your mat, feet are hip width apart, shoulders are away from the ears. We've got that core engagement, remember? All we're going to do is go down in stages if you need to. If you do have problems with your back, feel free to take it nice and slowly. Don't feel you have to do everything. So we're going to do it in stages. We're going to breathe in as you drop the chin. As you breathe out, pull the belly button towards the spine. Slide the hands towards the knee. Now notice my chin is still in nice and close. I've got my belly button pulled in. I'm going to take a deep breath in, and as I breathe out, pull up through my pelvic floor, come up vertebrae by vertebrae, and then just set them shoulders away again. So let's see if we can go a little bit further. Let's drop the chin. As you breathe out, pull the belly button in. See if you can slide towards the shins. Now if you need to, you can soften the knees there to protect that lower back. Keep that belly button pulled in. As you breathe out, pull up through the pelvic floor, come up vertebrae by vertebrae, come up into standing. Now we're going to try and get to the floor if you can. If you can't, just do what you feel right to do. Let's breathe in, dropping our chin. As we breathe out, pull the belly button in. Slide the hands towards the floor if you can. If you can't get the fingertips to this position, just soften the knees. Here then clicks through my ankles. Keep that chin in close. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, pull up through the pelvic floor. Come up vertebrae by vertebrae, and then come up to standing. So we're going to do one more to get to the floor. You do what you feel capable of doing. Breathing in, you're going to drop your chin. Breathing out, pull the belly button towards the spine. Slide the hands towards the floor. Keeping that core engaged, I'm going to ask you to try and walk forwards onto your hands and knees, and then go straight down onto your tummy. So the first exercise we're going to do is our 3/4 plank. We're going to start it really, really basic, because lots of people are not aware of where their core muscles are, and they tend to use their lower back. So if you want to stick with the basic exercise, feel free. If you want to progress, only do it when you feel capable of doing it. So we've got our elbows directly underneath our shoulders. I tend to keep my hands nice and loose. I don't want to squeeze them tight and put any pressure through the shoulders. And I've got my head in line with my spine. You can do as much as you want, remember, but try and get the basics, because then that makes the exercise a lot easier. So we're going to take a deep breath in. And as we breathe out, we're going to lift our belly button towards our spine, lifting our spine up towards the ceiling. I've got my hips and thighs resting on the floor. Now I'm pulling up through my pelvic floor and squeezing my bottom. You should notice there I'm in a nice strong position. I haven't lost that head alignment with my spine. I'm breathing in through my nose and out through my mouth here. And then I'm going to ask you just to release back towards the floor. You will notice the difference as you release that you have been using them core muscles. Let's try that again just to make sure we're doing it correctly. Let's take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, lifting that belly button towards the spine, lifting that spine up towards the ceiling. Pull up through the pelvic floor and squeeze the bottom. Nothing has left the floor for the moment. We've just got them core muscles engaged. Some of you may even feel like you're shaking here. That's absolutely fine. Use the breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth here. If it gets too much, please feel free to take a rest, and then we're going to come back down towards the floor. Now we are going to progress through this exercise, so please only do what you can do. Let's start again. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, lift up through the belly button and spine. You've got that nice strong position. Now try and be aware that you're not going to lose that before you go into the progression. So keeping this nice strong position, Take a deep breath in again, and as you breathe out, lift up from them hips and thighs. Now some of you, when you do this, will start to shake. That's absolutely fine. But if you feel there's a pressure through your lower back, take it up that little bit higher and pull that belly button in. Don't put too much pressure through the lower back because you're not going to be using the core. If it gets too much, you can go back to the floor part. Otherwise, you're going to try and stay in this position, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth here, and then release. Now that is the 3/4 plank. Everything should be nice and controlled. As I said, if you're shaking, that's absolutely fine. If you're feeling that pressure through the lower back, do try and lift up that little bit more. But if you're still feeling it, do go back to the basics and build it up nice and gradually. Now I know some of you are a little bit more advanced, so we're going to do the progression just once. Obviously, if you are good at it, you can do that as many times as you want to. So we're going to take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, lift up through that belly button and spine. Keep this strong position. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, lift away from them hips and thighs. If you're feeling it, lift up that little bit higher. Take the pressure out of the back. If you feel you can keep this nice and strong and want to progress, keep the core engagement. Tuck one foot under at a time. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, go up into that nice, long, strong plank. Use that core engagement. Tuck the pelvis forwards if you need to. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth there, and then release back towards the floor. You only want to do that progression if you know you're using the core muscles. So we're going to sit back into child pose just to give that back a stretch before we move on. Try and sit back towards the feet. Keep the belly button pulled in. Try and lengthen them arms so you're getting that stretch through the shoulder. If you find it's too much, just bring your arms back a little bit to loosen that off and see if you can get that bottom to go that little bit lower. We're now going to move into our lower back work. So come back down onto your tummies, and we're going to grab the block for this one. So if possible, you're going to get the forehead onto the edge of the block, and you're going to have your hands and elbows resting on the floor. Now make sure you can see them fingers. You want to be able to see them wiggling. And then if you can, give me that core engagement. Now that means there's a drawing pin underneath your belly button. Just lift that away slightly and try and keep that core engagement. We're going to start off by taking a deep breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to keep the head in line with the spine. Start to lift up there and feel the connection of the lower back. I've got my legs lengthened, I've got my core engaged, and then I'm going to bring myself back down towards the block. Breathing in to prepare, breathing out as you lift, keeping that core engaged. Come up to where you feel that connection of the back there, and then come back down towards the block. Now without going to progress, you do what you can. Take a deep breath in again. As you breathe out, lift up through that head and chest. Keep the core engaged, and then if possible, as you breathe out, lift them arms away from the floor, but don't lose that core engagement. Lots of people just collapse here through the tummy. Lowering them hands back towards the floor, bring your head back towards the block. If it is too much, go back to the basics, okay? So breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift that head and chest. Take a deep breath in here again. As you breathe out, keep that core engaged. And then if you want to progress, take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, lengthen them arms all the way forwards. Breathing in, you're going to bring them back for me. Breathing out, you're going to lengthen. Keep that head in line with the spine. Lower the hands towards the floor. Lower the head towards the block. Keeping that core engaged. So we're going to try that again. We are going to put one more progression on. You do what you can. We're going to try and lengthen them arms forwards and back 3 times. So let's take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, lift up through the head and chest. Keeping that core engaged. Breathing out, you're going to lengthen. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, lengthen forwards. I meant lift there, not lengthen. Breathing in, you're going to come back. Check that neck alignment, so we're not putting any pressure through that neck here. Breathing out, pull that belly button in. Breathing in, come back. Let's do that one more time if you can. And then bring them arms back down. Lower the hands to the floor, lower the head to the block, and keep that core engaged. We're going to move on to our leg work here for our lower back. So keep that head resting on the block for me. Think about your core engagement. But if you find this is a little bit uncomfortable, lots of people will find it a little bit easier to rest their head on their hands. So nice, long, strong legs. We're going to start with alternate leg here. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, lengthen up through the right leg. Breathing in, you're going to lower. Breathing out, you're going to lift the left. We've done this in most of the classes, so you will be familiar with this one. Try not to drop down through the tummy as you lift. Try and think about the breathing. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift here. And we're going to do one more time on each leg. You can take a rest if you want to, or I'm going to give you a progression. Let's take the right leg up and hold. Now notice my knee and hip are away from the floor. I'm going to take my foot up into this position from my hamstring at the back of my leg. But if you struggle with this position, just let the knees start on the floor here. It's entirely up to you. If you have tight hip flexors, you may need to lower it. So bring that knee up if you can, and then if possible, start to start to push single lifts up towards the ceiling, using that lower back, but also using the bottom and the back of the leg. We've got the core engaged, and then we're going to take it up and hold, and just then do the pulses, keeping that core engaged, pushing that heel towards the ceiling, and then release. Lengthen that leg out nice and long. You should have felt where you worked there. We're going to start with our left leg this time. So take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, lengthen up through the left leg. Then the right for me. Using that core engagement. Using your breathing. Keeping your head in line with your spine. You only do as much as you feel capable of doing. Then if possible, take that left leg up and hold. Bring that foot towards the ceiling. If you need to lower, please feel free. If not, stay in this position. Start to push up through that heel, using the lower back, also using the bottom and the back of the leg. If it gets too much, you take a rest. If not and want to progress, take it up. Through them pulses if you can. Cores engaged. Really try and make that a nice solid move, and then release. We're going to come up into cat stretch, just to loosen off that back. Hands underneath the chest, knees underneath the hips, and if possible, keep the core engaged. Take a deep breath, and as you breathe out, lift that belly button towards the spine, taking that spine up towards the ceiling, getting that stretch through the back in the opposite direction. We're going to come back to that neutral position. Keep the core engaged. Take a deep breath in again. As you breathe out, lift up through that spine there. Get that lovely stretch through the back, and then bring yourself back into neutral position. Now, while we're in this position, lots of you who know me know we will use this for press-ups. So keep the box position. Well, what I want you to do, keeping the core engagement, I'm going to ask you to bring your weight just slightly forwards. That way we will use the chest and back. Keep the core engaged, elbows towards the thighs, breathing in as you lower towards the floor, breathe out as you push up. Now make sure you keep your head in line with your spine. Don't tilt the chin forwards like this because it puts a strain on the neck. Keep that forehead going towards the floor, and if possible, try and keep them elbows going back towards the thighs. Now I want you to keep going for me if you can. I'm just going to tell people if they are struggling with this, you can go just slightly down towards the floor and come back up. Because what you want to try and master is the technique of doing the press up rather than doing lots of them in an incorrect way. So keep that core engaged. Breathe out as you push up there. We've got 2 more to go if we can. If you do feel you can go a little bit lower, please do. If not, just stay where you are. And then we're going to go back into lifted child pose. So the arms come forwards, the bottom stays up, and we try and bring the armpits towards the floor. You may be able to get that forehead resting, but please don't worry if you can't. Feel the stretch underneath the arms and across the chest and back, and then release. So we're going to move into our side leg work here now. So coming onto your side, grab your block for this one. Hopefully that helps to keep the head in line with the spine. Lengthen out the bottom arm if you can. Place this hand in front to support the body weight, but make sure the shoulder stays back. Now we're looking for core engagement, so that drawing pin is now underneath the waist. We're going to lift that just slightly away from the floor so we've got that core engagement. Don't over exaggerate it like this, just keep it in a nice long neutral position. And we're going to start with our single legs. So we're going to breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift. Lengthening that leg nice and long, trying to get that core engaged the whole time. Remember, it's not about the height, it's about the length of the leg here. Try and keep the head in line with the spine, so we're not using that neck. And then 2 more if you can, we're going to go into our doubles. So we're going to breathe in to prepare, breathe out as we lift both legs. Now remember, we are using the waist muscles here. You can place your hand on the waist to feel where you are working, but try and remember to keep them legs nice and long and strong. Breathe in at the bottom, breathe out as you lift. 2 to go. And then if possible, we're going to take the top leg up and hold at hip height, and we're going to work our inner thigh of the bottom leg. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift that bottom leg up to meet the top one. Don't worry if it doesn't go all the way up. It's not about, as I said, the height, it's about using the correct muscles. Breathe in at the bottom, breathe out as you lift that leg towards the top leg. We're using the inner thigh, remember. If you can do 2 more, please. If not, take a rest. And then if possible, with this top leg, we're going to bring it just in front. But what we don't want you to do is this with the knee so the hip drops forwards. We want to try and keep them hips stacked on top of each other. So if you find doing this is a little bit uncomfortable, just slide the foot away towards the floor, towards the other foot there. Now keep that core engaged. We're going to breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift that bottom leg, using the inner thigh of the other leg. You may feel it working a little bit around here, especially if you are tight, but remember you can take that leg away a little bit to give you a little bit of a release. If it gets too much, take a rest. We're going to do 2 more singles if you can, and then if possible we're going to take that leg up and hold and take it into the pulse. Extending that leg away, keeping that bottom waist strong, keeping them hips stacked on top of each other if you can, and then release. Well done. So we're going to move into climb. So bring both knees forwards for me. Still have them hips stacked on top of each other. Bottom waist is slightly lifted. We're going to take the balls of the feet and heels together. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift. Pushing this knee towards the ceiling without turning here through the hips. We're trying to mobilise around the hip and pelvis, but also use this big muscle here at the side of the leg. Really good for strengthening around that area. If you're finding this easy enough to do, we're going to do a little bit of a progression if you can. We're going to take that knee up and hold, bring the foot up in line with it. Remember this nice strong position, and if possible we're going to go into the figure of 8. So the knee meets the knee and then it goes up towards the ceiling. If you're struggling with this, stick to just doing your clam position. It really doesn't matter as long as you're doing the correct technique to work the correct area. Try and work through mobilising through that hip and pelvis. One more for me if you can, and then release. If you haven't done Pilates for a while, you will feel it. I want you to remember what leg you've just used because we're going to go into circles. We've moved on to our back, but we're still using the same leg. I'm going to ask you to take your arms out to the side. You've got your feet flat on the floor. Just let the belly button relax towards the spine. And if you can, take that leg up that we've just mobilised. If you struggle to get a straight leg, then please feel free to soften the knee to do the circles. This is definitely an easier option. If you are quite good at it, we're going to lengthen that leg. And what I want you to remember is this knee stays facing the ceiling. We're trying to use our core engagement here. We're going to breathe in to prepare, breathe out as we circle here. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you circle. Now use them hands to give you the stability, trying to keep this knee facing the ceiling. Really try and work through that hip and pelvis. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you circle. We're going to do 2 more in this direction if you can. If not, take a rest. Then bring that leg back up for me. We're going to go back the other way. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you circle. Trying to keep this knee facing the ceiling. Using your core engagement there. Really trying to mobilise through that hip and pelvis. If 10 is too much, you just do what you can do. You may feel it works that hip a little bit too much and need to make the circle smaller, and then bring that leg back up. Now we are going to do a progression here. If it's too much, you can just repeat what we've just done. But if possible, we're going to take the leg up again and try and increase our flexibility. So we're going to try and do 1 circle with 2 pulses on the hamstring. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you circle, grab the hamstring, pull, pull. If you can, place the hands back again, pull, pull. Try and increase the flexibility. If you find that's too much, just stick to the 10 circles. We're only doing 5 of these. Then we're going to go back the other way. Make sure you place them hands down as you do the circle and then pull that hamstring in. Keep that belly button pulled in slightly. Really try and make that work. And you may feel a bit of a stretch through the back of the leg as well. And then release. While we're here, we're going to move into some core work. So this time we're going to bring our legs up into tabletop. So bringing our legs up one at a time into tabletop. That way our back sits towards the floor. Remember, we've got the belly button slightly towards the spine. And please don't feel you have to lift your head in these exercises. You can do them just as well on the floor, okay? So everybody's going to take their hands in front of their knees. We're going to take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, one knee comes in, the other leg goes out straight. Now remember, with this exercise, it's the long, strong leg that will work the core. Bringing that knee towards you, keeping that back towards the floor. Unless you extend that leg nice and long, you won't bring in the core muscles. If you get tired, you can take a rest. If you find it easy enough to do, you can lift your head. But please make sure it is the core muscles you are using and not the neck muscles. Lots of people make that mistake. We're going to do 2 more on each leg here, and then we're going to bring them legs back in. We're going to move into crisscross now. If you struggle with it, you can stay with single leg stretch. It's exactly the same legs, but the hands come towards the temples. Again, we're going to do it on the floor to start with. We're going to take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, one knee's going to come in, the other elbow's going to go towards the ceiling, and then we're going to change. Now notice my back is staying on the floor. I'm extending through my legs, pulling my belly button towards the spine. If I wanted to progress, I could lift my head up and try and get that elbow to touch just inside the knee. But if that puts a strain on the neck, Remember to bring that head back towards the floor. It's the extension through the leg that will work the core, and then bring them legs back in. We're going to go into a nice body stretch here so we can lengthen through the core muscles. Take the legs out nice and long. Take the arms over the head, and if you can, just point them toes and point them fingertips. Take a deep breath in. As you do that, pull the belly button towards the spine. Really try and use them core muscles. And then as you breathe out, just relax all the way towards the floor. That feels really nice. Let's take a deep breath in again. Point them toes and fingers, pull the belly button in. Get that lovely stretch through the whole of the body. And then release towards the floor. We're going to go into our upper side leg, so just use your elbows here to bring yourself up. Just take a moment if you feel a little bit dizzy. Sometimes laying on the floor for a bit of a long while does tend to do that. Bring your block down to the other end of your mat. We're going to do the other side leg here. So resting that head onto the block, remember them hips are stacked on top of each other, just strangling yourself. Get that bottom waist lifted, remember. We're going to breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift. Nice, long, strong legs there. Keeping the core engaged. Remember, it's length of the leg and not height. So please don't feel the higher you go, the more you work it. Because what tends to happen when you take the leg high, you tend to turn that hip back. So one more single for me if you can. Let's go into doubles. Breathe in to prepare. Breathe out as you lift. Nice, long, strong legs there. Really trying to make that work. Keeping that core engaged, remember. Lengthening through them legs. Two more singles. Counting is not my best part of Pilates. So take that top leg up into hip height, remember. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, bring that bottom leg up to meet it. Nice, long, strong leg there to work the inner thigh. You may find that one side the leg goes up higher a lot easier because we do tend to have more strength and mobility on one side of the body. Let's do two more of them if we can. And then if possible, bring this top leg across, remember. But remember, we don't want to do this so we drop forwards. If we're struggling in this position, we just slide that foot away a little bit. Lengthen the bottom leg nice and long. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift. Again with this, it's not about the height. We won't be able to get that leg up high. We just want to make sure we're using them inner thigh muscles. Breathe in at the bottom, breathe out as you lift. 4 to go if you can. As I said, do excuse the counting, I tend to forget. One more time, and then release. So into clam. Let's get this done so we can move on to something else. Balls of the feet and heels together, bottom waist lifted. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift. What you do want to be aware of is you're lifting the knee, but you're not actually turning back through the hip like this. You want to keep the hips stacked on top of each other so that we're using this major muscle at the side of the leg there. Again, if you're finding clam is easy and you want to progress, take the knee up and hold, bring the foot up in line with it, and then go into the figure of 8. As I said before, one side may feel easier because we do have more mobility on one side of the body. So if you struggle with one side and need to take a rest sooner, please don't worry. You do what you can. 2 to go for me. And then release. So we're going to bring that leg down. Remember what leg you're using. We're going to move into circles. So let's move into our circles. Go onto your back. Remember the leg you've used. Take the arms out to the side. Lengthen the leg. Remember I told you if you want to make it easy, you can bend the knee in. It's entirely up to you. You can still do a circle in this position. If you can lengthen, great. Keep this knee towards the ceiling. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you circle. Use them hands and elbows there to help you with your stability. We're trying to use the core muscles as well as mobilise through the hip and pelvis. We're breathing in to prepare, breathing out as we circle there. We're going to do 2 more. If you find that one side is a little bit clicky more than the other, please don't worry. We're going to go back the other way. That's just telling you that you're a little bit tighter on one side and the muscles and tendons and ligaments are all that little bit tighter. So we're trying to mobilise through them joints. You will get a slight bit of movement with this knee, but we're trying to control that if possible. 2 to go there, keeping the head in line with the spine. Now we're going to come back up to the starting position. Remember, you can do the progression, you really don't have to. 5 of the progressions if you're going to do it. Take a deep breath in, as you breathe out, circle, pulse, pulse with the hamstring, arms go out, pulse, pulse again. Use them hands to control your stability. You may find you can't pull that leg as close on this side if it's your tight side, so please don't worry. And then we're going to go back the other way. Circle, pulse, pulse. Circle. If you're struggling with this, go back to just doing the circles, remember. You do exactly what you feel capable of doing. We're going to do 1 more. Don't rush it. Pull it in and then release. Now while we're here on the floor, we are going to move into rolling like a ball. We're going to do the prep work first and then the actual exercise. But some of you do struggle with that. So I'm going to just show you an option you can do instead of rolling like a ball. So we're in this position. We're going to have our feet hip width apart. And all we're going to do is roll through our pelvis. So we're going to take a deep breath in. And as we breathe out, we're going to just tilt the pelvis forwards, pull up through the pelvic floor, and then release. This is going to work your pelvic floor and also help with the core muscles. So take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, tilt the pelvis forwards, pull up through the pelvic floor, and then release. Just keep doing that for me if you can. It's a great exercise to work that pelvic floor, and it also helps to pull that belly button towards the spine to use the core muscles. If you get tired, you can take a rest, but this is just an option if you can't do rolling like a ball. If you do want to give rolling like a ball, we're going to come up and we're going to give it a go. So rolling like a ball, we're going to do the prep work first. There's 2 stages with rolling like a ball. First of all, you use your core. The second, then you use the spine as well. So with the prep work, all I'm going to ask you to do is take hold of your thighs, sit up tall in that nice long strong back position that I spoke about before, and then if possible, pull the belly button towards the spine and just walk them toes back here so that you're sitting on your tailbone. Now keep the belly button pulled in, bring them toes in nice and close, and just drop the chin there towards the chest. If you can, you're going to stay in this position, breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift the feet towards that knee height. You go to wherever you feel comfortable. But if you've got that belly button pulled in, that chin in nice and close, and you are sitting on that tailbone, you should be able to lift them feet up quite easily. Now some people do struggle in this position. They say it makes it feel really uncomfortable. So if you don't want to do the rolling like a ball, that's why I showed you the pelvic tilt. You can go down and do that. If you do want to do the rolling like a ball and go into the progression, make sure you've got that strong position. Walk the feet back like I said, so we're on the tailbone. Pull the belly button in, get the chin in nice and close. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, lift the feet. Now remember, you can stick with just doing this. This will work your core muscles. If you want to bring in the spine stretch as well, you're going to take the feet up and hold. Keep that belly button pulled in, chin close. And if possible, as you breathe out, you're just going to roll back through that and come back up. Now notice my feet started lifted and they finish in the same position. Belly button's pulled in, chin in nice and close. Get that ball-like position, come back up and hold. Again, if you can, try and roll through that spine. If you struggle with that, please stick to doing this first because this builds up the core strength for you then to get through that roll and come back up nice and easy. Now I know some of my people are a little bit more advanced, and if they do want to try and make it a little bit harder, if you want to, drop in the chin. As you breathe out, roll. As you come up here, we're going to lift the legs up nice and long and strong. But if you do that, try and lift the chest, pull the belly button in. Don't sit in this position, lift the chest and pull that belly button in. Some of you will struggle with that, so please feel free to just stick into rolling like a ball if you want to. So last exercise before we go into our stretching, we're going to roll back onto the floor. We're going to do some bridge work here. Always starting with our prep work to make sure we've got that nice strong position. So if you can, lengthen your hands down towards your heels. Let the belly button drop towards the spine. And with the prep work, we leave the middle back on the floor. So take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, tilt the pelvis, lift the bottom, but the middle back's just resting on the floor. Now this just helps to release any tension we're holding in that area before we go up into the bridge. So breathing in, you're going to come back towards the floor. As you breathe out, tilt the pelvis, lift the bottom. Now squeeze the bottom muscles nice and tight there, and then come back down towards the floor. So this time we're going to go up into our bridge. Let's take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, tilt the pelvis, lift the bottom, squeezing them bottom muscles at the top. Now remember, we're not going to overarch the bridge. We want to keep that belly button pulled in. Then breathing in, we're going to come down through our upper back, middle back, lower back, bottom. Breathing out, we're going to push up and squeeze. Breathing in, we're going to come down nice and controlled. Breathing out, we're going to push up and squeeze. A really good exercise to work the lower back. It also brings in the bottom and the back of the legs. If you get tired, you can take a rest. If you do want to progress, we're going to try and do some progressions here. But remember, you do exactly what you want to do. The more you practice this basic bridge, the more you will strengthen your back here to do the progressions eventually. So if you can, let's take that bridge up and hold. If you feel you need a bit more stability, just walk the feet in a little bit closer. It may help you lift the bridge that little bit higher. Remember, we want to keep the belly button pulled in, and if possible, breathing in to prepare, keeping the bridge in this position, we're going to lift the right heel up. As you breathe out, you're going to lower the heel. Breathing in, lift the left. Breathing out, push towards the floor. Now notice here, as I'm pushing them heels towards the floor, I'm not dropping down through my bridge like this. I'm keeping my bridge up nice and strong, so I'm getting the stretch through the back of the legs, but also working that back of the legs and bottom as well. If you find that easy enough to do, try and do both heels together, but keep that bridge up as you do that. Don't drop through them hips as you lower the heels towards the floor. This is a really good workout for the bottom, so if you do want to try and tone that area, but do make sure you have got the strength before you do it, and then if you can, bring yourself back down. One more progression for you before we finish. Entirely up to you. You can stay with basic bridge. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, push up and hold. Then keep this strong position. Remember, if you need to change the stability, bring them feet in. If you can, we're going to go into alternate knee raise. Breathe in to prepare. Breathe out as you lift the right knee. Breathe in as you lower. Breathe out as you lift the left. Again, my bridge is not dropping. I'm keeping that nice and strong, and I'm just bringing the knee towards the chest. Please feel free to carry on for me. I'm just going to show you that I don't want you to do this with the bridge. We want to keep the bridge up as we're doing that because we've lost the position. So keep it nice and strong as you do this. And then one more and bring yourself back towards the floor. So we're going to move into a back stretch here just to loosen that off. Bring one foot in at a time. You'll feel that tension through the back. Just give it a little massage around in one direction. Then back the other way just to loosen it off. And then if you can, take the feet back towards the floor. Just take them out a little bit wider for me. Take the arms towards the side. Keeping that belly button pulled in. As you breathe out here, see if you can just drop the knees to one side. Try and keep them shoulders towards the floor there. Take a deep breath in again. As you breathe out, pull that belly button in, go over to the other side. We're just trying to stretch through that back where we may have used it. Try and keep the shoulders towards the floor. Let's do that one more time each side. So pulling that shoulder back as you go into the stretch. And then if you want to, you can try and bring that top knee down a little bit further. It's entirely up to you. You don't have to do that progression. All the way over to the other side. Notice I bring my top knee down that little bit further and then come back towards the centre. So we're just going to finish off with some stretches while we're here. Let's see if we can take our right leg up towards the ceiling. Hopefully your back's sitting towards the floor. Again, if you do struggle and you can't get that straight leg, you can either take it away from you a little bit if you want to, or if you really need to, bend it in and we'll start to increase that as we get better. Grab the back of the thigh for me, and if you can, just pull it towards you. Feel the stretch down the back of that leg. If you can, you want to increase it, bring it in a little bit closer. Keep that belly button pulled in for me. Never make that foot shake because that's telling you you've overstretched the leg. Just keep it nice and controlled and pull it in that little bit further if you can. And then dropping that leg across, arms are going to go through if possible, bringing that leg towards you. Now that will give you a stretch around the hip and the pelvis, around the bottom and probably the outside of the thigh. And if you can, keeping that belly button pulled in, you're going to pull it in a little bit closer. Entirely up to you what you do. Let's try the other side. Place that foot on the floor. Let's change the other leg to go up. Soften it if you need to. Bring it towards you if you can. Remember, this foot is not shaking. We're just easing it in gently. Then we're going to take it across the other leg. Arms go through. If you can, grab hold of it. Try and pull it towards you, remember. If you can increase it, pull it in. And then release. Now we're going to come up into our seated position. You can either roll yourself up or you can use your elbows. It's entirely up to you. If you can't roll yourself up, just use your elbows to come up. But just take a moment here for letting the blood come back towards the body. So we're going to just lengthen our legs forwards and just take a moment for ourselves to come back into a nice normal position. We can get a little bit dizzy, so just let the blood release. Placing the hands by the side there, I want you to keep the belly button pulled in and I want you to take the hands in front. Now, if possible, push that upper back away, drop that head and feel that lovely stretch through the upper back. Keep that belly button pulled in, come up again to a seated position, take the arms behind, try not to arch the back, just try and get the stretch through the chest. Nice stretch there if you can, and then release. Taking the hands by the side again, we're going to lengthen the right arm up towards the ceiling, lengthen up to open the rib cage, and just soften that elbow there. Feel that lovely stretch from the waist all the way up towards the armpit there. And then bring that hand back down for me. Other hand goes up. Lengthen up nice and long. Pull that belly button in as you soften the elbow. All the way back again for me. If possible, we're going to bring them hands to the side. We're going to come up onto our hands and knees. any way you feel comfortable. If possible, we're going to walk our hands back in, belly buttons pulled in, roll back through the heels, hands come in, keeping that core engaged, chin in nice and close, come up towards standing. Now we're going to take the arms all the way up towards the ceiling. We're going to lengthen up there and get that stretch through the spine. Keep the belly button pulled in as the arms come back here. It's entirely up to you if you want to do this bit. We're going to drop the chin. We're going to breathe out as we lengthen forwards and just see how much we've changed our flexibility. Hopefully you've got a little bit more through the spine and the back of the legs. Come back up again for me and come to standing. So the last bit here is to remobilise before we go. So feet facing forwards, heels on the floor. We're going to sit down into the squat. Nice long strong arms to get them shoulders moving. Getting them movement through the back of the legs there. Mobilising the hips and knees again. And then this time, if possible, take that deep breath in. Arms come up again. Right arm goes higher. Left arm goes to meet it. Open them fingers wide. Give me that nice big circle. And again, nice deep breath in. This time left arm goes up. Right arm goes to meet it. Open them fingers. Nice big circle. We're going to finish off with a right shoulder roll and a left. Right arm goes all the way back just to make sure we're nice and mobile. Then the left. We're going to bring the right arm forwards and the left. Give yourself a clap. Remember, arms and feet, hands and feet even, give them a shake. And I just want to say thank you for joining me again. Stay safe and hopefully I'll see you soon.